went through college. As you all know, I became a lawyer first. I was a lawyer before I became a doctor. And I got fed up with the way law was practiced. I called myself a recovering attorney. So I went into medicine. I didn't want to fight people, I wanted to help them, you know? So I went into medicine. And I started to get fed up with the way medicine was practiced. I have a low tolerance for baloney. I went into medicine to learn how to heal people. How many of you think doctors should learn how to heal people? Well, that's a silly question. But this is my experience in 4th year of medical school. Okay? Here I am. I've gone through most of my training. Now we're actually seeing real patients with a doctor, a preceptor to look over our shoulder. And this patient comes in and he's got high blood sugar, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. And we say, okay, we're going to give him this medicine. And the doctor says, yeah, okay, that's fine. So he leaves the room and lets me finish counseling the patient. And I tell the patient, okay, you got to take this one in the morning, you got to take this one with food, you take this one just before bedtime, you know, and so forth, right? You all know how it is with the doctor's office. And the patient asked me a very fair question. He says, Doc, when are these medicines going to cure me? How many of you think that's a fair question? Right? What was my answer? See, you all know the answer to never. Okay, now, logically, if the pills never cure them, did I learn how to heal that patient? No, right? So after all those years of study, did I learn what I went to med school to learn? How to heal. It's stunning when people come to the realization that they're not teaching doctors how to heal. How many of you think there's something wrong with that? Of course, right? That's the basic reason why our health system is broken. Because we don't get to the cause of the disease. That's why after medical school, I went to Harvard to get a degree in nutrition, so I could learn the things that I needed to learn to deal with these diseases. You know, let me just tell you, don't let this leave the room, but I was a lawyer first, right? I'm treating diabetes, okay? How many of you think diabetes is a nutrition-related disease? Well, hello, right? Blood sugar. Yeah, you eat the wrong stuff, your blood sugar goes crazy. I'm treating this guy with diabetes. It's a nutrition disease, and they didn't teach us nutrition in med school. How many of you think there's something wrong with that? Yeah. You know, I was a lawyer. I thought it was a malpractice. Right? So that's why I went and got a degree in nutrition afterwards. So that's where I use nutrition as a primary intervention. I still use medication. I still know how to prescribe medicine. I still have my prescription pad. But I try to get them off the medicine first. So that's what this is all about. We do this through the Hawaii Health Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit. All my royalties from my books go into the nonprofit. The Dalai Lama says we have bigger houses, smaller families, more conveniences, less time, more knowledge, less judgment, more experts, more problems. Get this, more medicines, but less health. How many agree with that one? Well, well, well. Even the Dalai Lama knows this. So we need to avoid the 7 Ds of aging. Dementia, discomfort, disability, dependence, you know, depends. Disease, drugs, and death. So we're going to talk about how to avoid that, these 7 Ds of aging. One of the first ones is dementia. You know, you start losing your memory. Glucose levels. New England Journal, this is this week now, I put this on here because this came out this week. They find that if your fasting sugar is 115, it's there's an 18% higher risk of dementia compared to if your blood sugar is only 100. This is new stuff. If your sugar is 190, it's a 40% higher risk of dementia than if your blood sugar is 160. So you see how important it is to control your blood sugar. It's not just for diabetes, it's for dementia. Okay? You know what's another important thing in controlling dementia? I'm going to tell you. There's a medicine that's commonly taken that can cause memory loss. But anyway, we'll talk about that. There's heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, also. You see all the red? This is why I went to study nutrition. You see, if you count up the deaths caused by heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, Alzheimer's, these are all nutrition-related diseases. 2/3 of our death in this country is related to bad diet. If 2/3 of the deaths are related to bad diet and nutrition, how many of you think 2/3 of the doctors ought to be nutrition doctors? Well, of course, right? How many of you think 2/3 of our healthcare dollars should go into dealing with nutrition? Do you know how much of your healthcare dollar goes into nutrition? Zero. Now you know why we have a broken healthcare system. Well, number 1, heart disease. Number 2, cancer. Number 3, stroke. Do you know what the startling new 4th leading cause of death is? Well, you kind of saw the little slide, right? The startling new 4th leading cause of death is prescription medication. This is not my data. It's the Journal of the American Medical Association. It's the best information in the world. Okay? Now, let me tell you why this is important. Pills come in right here, number 4 cause of death. Think about this now. I'm being facetious here, but think about it. If drugs are the 4th leading cause of death, and I am seeing somebody with diabetes, which is the 6th leading cause of death, why would I want to treat somebody with the 6th leading cause of death with the 4th leading cause of death? How many of you think that makes sense? See, it doesn't make any sense, right? Do you see how crazy it's getting? But the reality is, today, for some people, the treatment is becoming worse than the disease. Do you know what I'm saying? The medication side effects are now causing further issues. And do you know what? Interestingly, Alzheimer's suddenly appeared in the top 10. Meanwhile, heart disease went down. Do you know what's really interesting? They say, oh, heart disease is down because statins, cholesterol medicines, are lowering the risk of heart disease. Do you want to know something really sad? You know what one of the side effects of statins are? Memory loss. Okay, how many of you would like to control cholesterol with memory loss? Nobody wants to do that. And yet, millions of people are on cholesterol medicines. And they're wondering why Alzheimer's is climbing the ladder. So why are we getting fat and sick? Well, we used to eat a diet that was mostly whole, unprocessed carbohydrate food, mostly plant-based, not much animal, not much fat, sugar, or refined flour. Today we eat mostly fat, sugar, white flour, and lots of animal products, and not much natural whole food. That's part of the problem. Hawaiians, you know, I worked with Hawaiians for many, many years. I worked with arguably the worst rate of obesity in the world. I used to have 400, 500, 600, 700 pound patients. My biggest patient, I was in Japan and I said my biggest patient was 400 kilograms. You know, they use kilograms in Japan. And the translator said, no, you mean 400 pounds. And I said, no, he was 890 pounds. That's 400 kilograms. But how many of you think Hawaiians are genetically overweight? Well, you see, if it was all in the genes, they would be more overweight in the old days, right? Because it's pure genes. Well, if you look at the pictures in the old days, pure Hawaiians, they weren't overweight. So what do you suppose is the difference? here's pictures of Hawaiians, slim in the 1800s. They used to eat taro, right? How many of you heard carbs make you fat? Right? A lot of people. How many of you have heard carbs give you diabetes? Right? Well, they ate a 78% carbohydrate diet in those days. And yet, they were slim and they didn't have diabetes. So much for that. Bottom line, they were eating unprocessed carbohydrates. Okay? Taro used to be the staple in the old days. What's the staple food for Hawaii today? Rice? Is that the main dish? Or is it, who said spam? She was right. Spam. Now, spam is supposed to be protein, right? Right? How many of you knew that spam is only 17% protein? How many of you knew that it's actually 83% fat? Now you know why we have so much obesity today. You eat fat, you get fat. Here's a bee with a little pink dot on it. This is a bigger bee. It lives longer. It looks a little bit different. What's different between this bee and this bee? Queen bee. Very good. Do you know that genetically this bee and this bee and this bee and this bee, they're all the same? Did you know that? Do you know what the difference is? They fed them a different diet. Diet can affect the expression of your genes. Now, what I'm going to show you is what's happened to humans when you change their diet, okay? Now, this is a new field called epigenetics. That means how diet affects your genetic expression, okay? So I'm going to show you, you all know I'm a professor at the medical school, and I teach medical students. Now, I hope this one doesn't go over people's head, but this is a slide that I show to medical students to show the change in morphology of humans. Morphology means their body shape, okay? So follow me, because from the left to the right on the next slide, I'm going to show you the change in morphology, the shape of the human. Okay, the next slide. So just watch carefully. It goes from left to right. Ancient times, modern times, a change in the body shape of humans. You can see the little fast food. Anyway, you understand what I'm saying, right? We hope it doesn't get to this point. But humans today are afflicted with obesity diseases. Do you see all these diseases? Heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, headaches, all these diseases. When you go to a doctor, what's the first thing they give you for this? Drugs, right? Did they ever treat this with diet first? No. Even though the cause is diet and lifestyle, why wouldn't they do that? Because the system does not reward this. The system penalizes doctors like me for treating this with a natural means because they won't pay. Yeah, so I get penalized by making less money by doing this, even though this is the right way. You see, this is ancient foods. This is modern food. Do you notice the difference? You know, some of you ate white toast for breakfast, right? Some of you ate a burger and fries yesterday. But that's the problem, big difference. And so the foods have changed over time from this whole carbohydrate diet to this highly processed diet. Now, how many of you would like to learn how to control cholesterol with your diet? Okay, how about controlling blood pressure with your diet? How about blood sugar? How many of you just want to learn how to eat twice as much and still lose weight? Well, I'm going to show you why America is so overweight today. I'm going to show you how to eat twice as much and still lose weight. This is poi, brown rice, sugar, and fat. What is similar about the food in these jars? What is similar? No, the food inside. "200 calories, 200 calories, 200 calories, 200 calories." Did it ever occur to you that it made that much difference when you process a food into fat and oil? You see, what happens is when you eat lots of sugar and fat like this, you're eating more, you're eating less because it's very small food, but you're weighing more. That's the problem. Let me show you what I mean by this. And by the way, being overweight is a key to many of the health problems that we have. This is burger, fries, and a drink. How many of you can eat that in one sitting? Well, most of you could, right? I didn't say you would, but most of you could, right? How many of you could eat this 4-pound plate of food in one sitting? Yeah, no takers. What is similar about this plate and this plate? Calories, very good. See, you got up early and your brains are sharp. But don't feel bad. Even the doctors get this one wrong. This is fewer calories. You would be wrong. Remember I said I'd show you how to eat twice as much and still lose a little weight? I lied to you. This is 3 times as much. I'm showing you how to eat 3 times as much and still lose weight. You see, this is 1,800 grams versus 600, and yet it's 1,100 compared to almost 1,200 calories, okay? So, another example. This is an apple and a muffin about the same size, okay? The apple is 90 calories. How many of you can eat 2 apples if you're hungry? Right? Most of you could, right? Muffin is the same size. If you're hungry, how many of you could eat 2 muffins? That should be, right? How many calories do you think is in a muffin? 300? 400? Do I have 450? It's 550. Okay, it's 550 calories. Okay? Now, think about it. How many of you know how many apples it takes to make 1 muffin? It would be 6, right? 6 times 90 is 540. So those of you who could eat 2 muffins, how many of you could eat 12 apples? Can't, right? Can't. This is a profound lesson for everyone. You know what the lesson is? Nature will not let you get fat. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because there is no way to get fat eating food like this, because you can't fit enough in your stomach. Eat food like this. Do you know how much 2 muffins are? 1,100 calories. Same as this plate, 1,100 calories. You see? So that's what happens when you eat processed food full of sugar, flour, and oil, which is what that muffin is made of. By the way, I'm not lying. This is the label. Yeah. So what's the simple mistake that keeps people sick? You know what the simple mistake is? They forget about their diet and they think pills make you healthy. You know, you go to the doctor, right? And what do you do at the doctor? You get all your prescriptions, right? And then you line them in your container that has 7 lids. And then you take one and you make sure you empty it out, take the next one. And next week you do the same thing, you go back to the doctor, and you think, oh, I did everything you said. And they check your pressure and it's pretty good, and your sugar is pretty good. Is that person healthy? Is that person healthy when they take all those medicine exactly as the doctor prescribed? The truth is, if you're on medication, by definition, you're still unhealthy. Right? But a lot of people think, oh, I followed my doctor's advice, so I'm well now, right? Wrong. Wrong. because you're still stuck on those medications. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, says Albert Einstein. People still eat the same old way and they expect to go to the doctor and they're better. I don't think so. That would be insane. So why do we have a 10-day program? Because health isn't everything, but everything else is nothing without health. Do you know what I mean by that? I don't care if you're a billionaire. If you don't have your health, what good is it? Can't enjoy it, right? And a lot of people, they stash money in their 401k. They think their house is their biggest asset. And then they skimp on their health. You know, meanwhile, the stock market drops and they lose $2,000 in a day and they don't think about it. What they should be investing in is their own health, because it's the #1 asset. How do I know? Because 62% of all personal bankruptcies are due not to bad mortgages, not to bad financial decisions, it's due to bad health. Right? 62% of all bankruptcies are because of bad health. And you know what's scary? 76% of those people have health insurance, and it's not enough. So it's really important to keep your health as good as possible. So in our program, we put people back on this type of diet, whole carbohydrates, take away the refined products. This gentleman lost 150 pounds in 2 years, took him off insulin. This one lady lost nearly half her weight in a 2-year period. Can you check the volume?
When I started the program, I weighed 243 pounds. Currently, I weigh about 128. I'm kind of going in between the 125 and the 130. The other thing too, the other day I thought, I think now my outside matches my inside. You know, now I look like how I feel on the inside. And that was kind of neat. So, yeah, my cholesterol used to be 223. Now, almost 2 years later, the program is 131.
All right, she dropped her cholesterol level, you saw that, by 90 points. If you can drop your cholesterol by 90 points, why would you want to take a cholesterol medicine that causes memory loss? How many of you would prefer to take cholesterol medicine that causes memory loss? See, nobody wants to do that. So we have an alternative. Average weight loss in our program is about 11 pounds in 3 weeks. And if you don't have weight to lose, you don't lose weight because we use natural food. What we do is we put people on a whole food diet. They eat more food, but their calorie intake goes down.
I just kept on eating and eating, and I was never hungry. I never felt deprived. I eat a lot of food. My original weight loss is 45 pounds, 37 pounds so far. I've lost 52 pounds. I've lost 56 pounds, and I've kept it off for 7 years.
Okay, again, eating whole unprocessed foods, we get them to do that, and they keep the weight off for years. We publish the results showing cholesterol, triglyceride, blood sugar, HDL ratio improves. For heart disease, you know that cholesterol is related to heart disease, right? Higher the cholesterol, the higher your heart disease risk. How many of you know one simple rule to find cholesterol in your diet? Simple rule. Don't feel bad. I did this lecture at a hospital and none of the doctors knew the answer. Or the nurses. Anything that has a liver, the answer is anything that has a face on it has cholesterol in it. Same idea, all right? You are correct. But actually some lower animals don't have livers. So anyway, plants do not have any cholesterol. That's one of the reasons why it's important to eat mostly a plant-based diet. The higher the cholesterol, the higher the mortality. The higher the fat in your diet, the higher the cholesterol. Oh, here it is. Anything with a face on it has cholesterol in it. Okay, and here's the list. Beef, chicken, fish, has cholesterol. People say, Dr. Shintani, I went to your lecture and I'm now vegetarian and I eat cheese instead. And that's not a good idea. Okay, it's not a good idea.
I never went away from the meal feeling hungry or deprived. And that was one of the problems I've had with diets in the past. I always had to eat a lot less food, and I always seemed to be hungry. But not on Dr. Shintani's diet. When I first started this thing, my cholesterol level was about 235, something like that, and went down 100 points in 3 weeks. I'm telling you, I was astounded.
Okay, it doesn't happen for everyone that quickly, but we have a 10-day program, and people routinely lower their cholesterol by 25, 30, 40 points. If you can lower your cholesterol by 30 points, 40 points in 10 days, why would you want to start that medicine, right? By the way it works is cholesterol medicine will block coenzyme Q10. And so what happens is, that's in the liver, so it affects the liver. It causes your energy production to go down, because that's what CoQ10 does. So when you try to exercise, some people will damage their muscles because they can't keep up. So that's the muscle damage. And then when you try to remember things, see the two tissues that require the most energy, muscle and brain. So those are the two that get affected by cholesterol medicine. So better to do it this way. High blood pressure, here's a...
I lost 52 pounds. I didn't have to get blood pressure medicine anymore. I didn't have to take medicine. And it was such a relief not to have to take medicine. My blood pressure stays normal.
And I put this woman here because she's 73 years old and we got her off her medication. You make sure you don't do this without the supervision of a doctor, because you stop your medicine, all of a sudden you could shoot your pressure up and cause a stroke. So I'm not telling people to do this without supervision. I actually have a diet that's high in carbohydrates, and yet routinely the blood sugar goes down. You saw my published paper. The important point I have to say again is that we use all unprocessed carbohydrates. We started out with sweet potato and taro, but now we use brown rice and oatmeal and quinoa and things that are commonly used.
How soon after you began the Hawaiian diet did you stop taking insulin altogether?
It was my second week on the diet. No, it was.
2 weeks out.
2 weeks on the diet.
We've done that with even worse cases, with people who had even more insulin.
Dr. Shintani published the results of his diet in the respected American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. In his study, the
Again, don't try this without supervision of a doctor. That's one of the reasons why our program, we have to charge a fee when people go on our 10-day program. We have cooks, we have nurses to watch people, because many of the people are on medications and we have to wean them off. Now, let's see. What's in common with arthritis, allergy, asthma, and autoimmune disease? How many of you know people who have chronic allergies, arthritis, or any of these? See, it's a huge problem. You know what the basic problem is? Because we all eat a pro-inflammatory diet. What do I mean by that? We eat things that cause inflammation. And you know what's one of the worst offenders, believe it or not? Chicken. Everybody's eating chicken instead of beef. Chicken promotes inflammation. See, the important things are, you want to avoid omega-6 oils, which is most of the vegetable ones, arachidonic acid, which is in all animal and chicken products, and processed carbohydrates drive your insulin up, and that causes inflammation. Now, I'm going to show you a short 4-minute video. By the way, I just ate 6 Happy Meals and I'm still depressed. Just because they label something good doesn't mean it's good, okay? Anyway, I'm going to show you another video it'll be about 4 minutes, and then I'm going to have Dr. Nomura talk about our program, and then I'll take questions. In the next video, you're going to show people get rid of all kinds of other issues during our program, including chronic pain, headaches, blood pressure, blood sugar medications. And when you hear me say, skip the medicine, that's how I get people off the medicine. I have them skip doses so they're on every other day and then every third day. You never take people right off the medicine because you could have a rebound effect. So you'll hear me say, skip it. People didn't understand that at first, but basically that's the process of getting somebody off the medication. GERD, by the way, is reflux, heartburn.
How damaging being addicted to a narcotic is to an individual. This nation being addicted to prescription drugs is recognition.
Accidental permission for that and that quote. I told what I ask for alternatives to pills, and every time I go in, I get another pill. Habits, and then I have to be taking it forever. I would take my drinks every single day, lower than I had night sweats. A lot. There's got to be something better than this.
I have diabetes and all those things that kill Hawaiian.
I believe it's going to be my last effort here.
There are many people taking a lot of medicines that they could get rid of if they were following a good diet and lifestyle the way we recommend. Your diet is dangerous. The diet makes people well so fast that their medication becomes dangerous.
Oh,
Skip it. Actually, you should probably skip it. Data is on the low side of normal. You probably don't need your diabetes medicine.
I'm so excited.
Oh, why are you excited? I've already lost 11 pounds. So that means you lost over
17.
Your blood sugar is were actually slightly high, 107. Now it's 90. Yeah.
Oh, I have such a problem with reflux. Practically from the first day, it's been there. I have an unopened box of Promisec.
So it's 228. And after 21 days, it's 141. Ankle, knees, hips. So,
And since I've been off the dairy and off the meat products, nothing.
your headaches? Okay.
I don't have any more.
So how many of you think that's the way medicine ought to be practiced, right? Right? Wouldn't that be better? We put you We put you in a situation where we can gradually take you off your medication. Well, that's what we do, and unfortunately, insurance doesn't cover it, but where's Dr. Nomura? Dr. Nomura is the administrator of the White Health Foundation, so she's going to tell you how our program works. It's not for everybody. And then after her, I'll answer questions from the floor.
I want to clear up one misconception. There's some confusion. Dr. Shintani is not against medication or following your doctor's orders, okay? If you are unhealthy, if you have a medical condition, you should be on your medication, you should be following your doctor's orders, okay? Dr. Shintani is not against medication. The thing is, he has a program where he has gotten people healthy and their condition has improved to the point where he has to take them off their medication because their medication becomes, hazardous to them. Okay. For instance, let's say, as an example, many of you have diabetes, and you know that you couldn't bring your blood sugar down, so your doctor put you on oral medication. But the blood sugar still couldn't go down, so he would put you on stronger doses, and then more and more oral medications until, the blood sugar still wouldn't go down, so he puts you on insulin. We know people on a couple of different insulins, okay, and maintaining their sugar at close to normal level, or even then it wouldn't go down. Dr. Shintani on his program, people's blood sugar would drop the first day so low that it was below the normal, the lower limit of normal, and so he had to take them off their medication. A lot of people see Dr. Shintani's lecture and they say, well, they've been able to change their lifestyle and improve their health. But once in a while we get people who tell us, at every seminar there are people who say, I see what you tell us, I need something structured, do you have a program? That was in response to that was why we started Dr. Shintani's program. There is a cost because, we have to pay for rent for the facility, we have medical staff. Dr. Shintani is on call 24/7. Because putting people on more and more medication is not very problematic, but taking people off their medication is risky. And you need to have someone who has the knowledge and experience that Dr. Shintani has to do this. Otherwise, there are some risks. So, there's medical monitoring. Dr. Shintani is on call 24/7. We have meals prepared by chefs. We have consultations with Dr. Shintani and classes. If you put someone on a diet program, give them meals for 10 days, and get them healthy and get them off their medication, on the 11th day, they're back to their old lifestyle, not knowing how they got off their medication. We're really not serving you. So the program is pretty intense with classes, and the classes teach you how to do this program for the rest of your life. So there are classes, we have teachers, we have chefs preparing the meals, you have consultations with Dr. Shintani, medical monitoring, lab work, all in 10 days. Actually, it encompasses 3 weeks. So there is a cost. For people who would like a program. This program is not for everyone. The price ranges around $1,000 to $2,000. If you have any questions about that, you can. Oh yeah, on the mainland, a similar. There are very few doctors that can do this. There are a few doctors on the mainland who can do this kind of thing. They charge between $3,500 to $5,000. Dr. John McDougall, who we have great respect for, he's in California, he charges about $4,500. So our cost is well under half of what they charge on the mainland. And on the mainland, everything is cheaper, ordinarily. So I will be sitting at the front table right by the door if you have any questions about the program. Actually, we have 2 programs coming up, the last 2 programs for the year. There is a program in September, which is almost full, and there is a program in October. These are 10-day programs, but they encompass about 3 weeks. So if you have any questions about this, please come and see me. I will be sitting at the front desk, right by the front table, right by the door. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Nomura. All right, so now, So if you're interested in the program, see Dr. Nomura. But I'm going to now answer questions from the floor. Yes? Well, I cannot help somebody on dialysis. Unfortunately, what I have done is I've taken people in stage 4 renal failure, their numbers are around 20, 15 or so. Just before dialysis, I've been able to keep people off as much as 5 years off dialysis. But once their potassium and phosphorus go out of control, then it's very difficult. Okay, any, yes? You're talking about the gluten sensitivity. That's much overblown. When people avoid wheat and they say, "Oh, I'm doing really well now," that's because, you know, in our program, we take people off processed wheat products. That is, pastries and flour products. And that's because the processed flour, actually, white bread has a higher glycemic index than white sugar. People are shocked to hear that, because white bread is a complex carb. How many of you have heard you should eat complex carb? No? You know, it's better to eat complex carbohydrates, right? Well, white bread is a complex carbohydrate, and it raises sugar higher than table sugar. I'm not saying table sugar is good. I'm saying for blood sugar control, it's worse. And then so they go to whole wheat bread. You know what's shocking? Whole wheat bread, if you buy it from the store, also has a higher glycemic index than table sugar. So they say, well, what are we supposed to do? Then you eat stone ground or sprouted grain bread, like Ezekiel bread that you buy like in Elderhood or something like that. The particle size is what makes the difference. When they grind it into a coarse flour, like stone ground or sprouted grain, you will have a lower glycemic number. But in our programs, we actually use meat substitutes made of gluten, and no one has a problem with it. And they still lose weight, and their cholesterol still goes down. By the way, I saw the author of Wheat Belly speak, and his data is flawed because he doesn't account for the processed carbohydrates. Question, right there. Type 1 diabetes is not reversible. Type 1 diabetes, by the way, is a different disease. In childhood, the autoimmune process destroys the beta cells. So you make no insulin. By the way, that's the reason I have an easier time dealing with people who are overweight, because insulin makes you fat. So when they're overweight, I know they're making insulin. So then I can turn them around. Question. Exercise is always an important part of the program. Exercise is always important. But people should know that in my first published report, I had no additional exercise to show what the diet would do. So I know that diet makes a difference. By the way, exercise alone will not lower cholesterol. It's shocking to people. But you have to change your diet if you want to lower your cholesterol. Exercise will improve the HDL-LDL ratio. But you only lower cholesterol when you lose weight. Yes? Oh, good and bad cholesterol. HDL is good cholesterol. H for healthy, that's how I remember it. It actually means high density lipoprotein. Nobody needs to know that. H for healthy. LDL is bad cholesterol. I call it lousy L. You know, then you know which one. HDL takes cholesterol out of the arteries. LDL puts cholesterol into the arteries. So that's why it's better to have a ratio of less LDL, more HDL. When your total comes down, both of them will go down, so you're looking at the ratio. Yes? Source of protein, that's really interesting. You know, everybody thinks, how many of you think you need meat to get protein? Yeah, but Protein is in all vegetables and grains and beans. You know, even white flour has protein in it. Even lettuce and kale.